Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 2CTV, your global news channel. We come to you guys with some breaking news coming from the Middle East as the fires and explosions continue across Iran. The US-Iran talks and negotiations and the deal as things stand right now is dead. And of course, the IRGC are now in full panic mode over the sabotage, apparently. And in case you didn't know, it's the Jews' fault. Yes, of course it's the Jews. We're going to be giving you guys the update on what's been going on over the last few hours. We have yet another explosion that's happened in Shiraz, which is in the southern parts of Iran, also where the Shiraz wine came from. And of course, everything else been going on because we have to talk about the negotiations. It's not looking too good. Even though both sides are still going to be indirectly talking to each other this weekend, the deal is not happening. The actual ratified deal is not happening. As things stand, it's not just because the negotiations are not going well. I'm going to explain why the deal is not going to happen. You might have an interim deal, transition, something to buy time for the Iranian regime, but you're not going to have an actual deal. The reason for this is partly because of everything's been going on inside the country in Iran. Mysterious fires and explosions still happening in sensitive sites. But the reality of the situation is that the Republican senators are the reason that the deal might not happen. And even if a deal happens, it won't be a deal that the Islamic Republic wants. So I'm going to explain the whole thing. So everything goes back to 2015. The first Iran deal by Barack Hussein Obama, or Barry Obama, that was not actually ratified. And he made it easier for the next president to cancel. And he basically gave the Iranian regime what they wanted. That was the precedent. So we're going to explain this. Trump supporting senators in the Republican Party are saying that any official lasting deal with Iran would need to be approved by Congress. Now, that needs a 2/3 majority for the treaty. 2/3. Now, by getting a 2/3 majority in the Senate for the treaty ratification would require the Islamic Republic to actually fulfill the demands, the full demands that Republicans want, not Steve Witkoff, the whole of the party. In addition to getting rid of the enriched uranium and centrifuges and everything else. Now, the Republicans are saying that the Iranian regime would need to dismantle its ballistic missile program on top of the nuclear facilities. That's the demand coming from the party. And technically, that's the same position, technically, coming from the White House, Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. But the White House are currently negotiating so that they are being flexible during the talks. But the Republican Party, who control the vote, are saying, they've been saying the same thing for some time, but today again confirmed that if we are to vote to make this an actual official treaty, no enriched uranium, no ballistic missile program, and of course the Islamic Republic is not going to agree to that. So either the regime in Iran will walk away, or if there's a wishy-washy deal, the Republicans won't vote for it, which means that the third option is still possible, which is some sort of fake, unofficial interim deal, which is not official and you could get rid of it any moment. So going back to the Republicans, including Lindsey Graham, for example, saying that Marco Rubio, he has spoken to Marco Rubio and said that there is no way that the government could get the 67 votes to ratify a treaty without the Iranian regime totally dismantling its nuclear and the missile program and their support for terrorism. This is the proxies. The senators have also drawn a parallel with the so-called 123 agreements. Basically, there's a legal framework that the US government and even the civil nuclear corporations with foreign nations will have to be confirmed by the politicians. These agreements require strict safeguarding to prevent the future development of nuclear programs by the other party, the Iranian regime. When Obama signed that deal, he didn't get it ratified, which meant it wasn't official, and President Trump came and cancelled the whole thing. Remember? That's how Trump could do it. Secondly, there was no actual supervision, so the Iranian regime continued to build secret nuclear facilities, underground sites and everything else. Now, if it weren't for Netanyahu's government that exposed all those nuclear sites, the secret facilities, President Trump wouldn't have known, and he wouldn't have cancelled the deal. But he found out and he cancelled it. But it continues because Senator Cotton, for example, has said, if they want the most durable and lasting kind of deal, then they want to bring it to the Senate and have it voted on as a treaty. That was one reason why President Obama's deal was so weak. An agreement between the American president, whoever he or she may be, and a foreign leader can be reversed by future presidents, which President Trump rightly did 7 years ago today. Now, the reason Cotton is saying this is because it's highly unlikely that the Democrats will win the next election. They don't really have a proper candidate. It's highly unlikely. So it's going to be a Republican. And every option that you have on paper, most of the Republicans, contenders to replace President Trump, unless he wants to run again, are more robust than the current position coming from the White House. Steve Witkoff, basically. Which means, if there's a fake deal, there's no need to panic, because after a few years, the next president, Republican president, will cancel it anyway. If it's ratified, that means the Iranian regime have surrendered. And why would they do that? Which means it's bye-bye for the IRGC. It doesn't stop here, because even the International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, have now said that Iran have already gained enough highly enriched uranium to potentially build several nuclear weapons if they want to. Now, the US intelligence assessments maintain that the Iranian regime haven't really made a decision to weaponize it, but all sides agree now, even IAEA, that, surprisingly, even the bureaucrats now agree that they have already enriched enough uranium. If they want to, they can. Which means there is an imminent threat, which would make it easier for President Trump's side to basically say, hang on, if you're agreeing to no longer enrich too much uranium, let's say around 3% for energy purposes, that's still a terrible idea anyway. But if President Trump says, so what about your existing ones? The Iranian regime have already said that's a red line. The deal is not going to happen that way. The Iranian regime are not going to get rid of anything that they already have. Their position is, going forward, we could reduce the enriched uranium. Now, one of the reasons that during these talks, mysterious fires and explosions continue to happen in Iran, and still to this day, nobody knows who's behind it. And there's all the theories. It could be Mossad, it could be CIA, it could be a different element of the IRGC doing an infighting. It could be the anti-IRGC Iranians doing it, or it could be, I don't know, David Lammy making them something about David Lammy. You always have to blame the foreign secretary as usual. But let me show you what's happening tonight as we speak, because there's another crisis in Iran. Yet another explosion has occurred in a close proximity to the Islamic regime's ballistic missile storage. This is the Shahab-3 intermediate range ballistic missile storage at the Imam Javad base. Now, this is about 21 kilometers north of Shiraz, along the highway to Esfahan, which is the other large city. The base is known to host some of the regime's missile production operations. The incident is obviously part of all the mysterious fires and explosions. Let's quickly go to that video. There's a guy filming this, and he's explaining what's happening. We did the English subtitle for you guys.
سلام، امروز شیراز جمعه 19 اردیبهشت 404. همین الان ساعت 8:20 یه آتیشی از روی کوه بلند شد و داره شعله‌ش هم بیشتر میشه.
And yeah, for the record, there was no volcano, not there. So we clearly know something's happening. These are not accidents. These are not isolated incidents. As a theory, still the most likely group with a motive would be Mossad, right? They have done a lot of operations in Iran. In terms of motive, of course, Israel has the motive. Now, CIA, unlikely, mostly because I don't know how much we can trust the competence of them. So it's a bit of a risk for the White House to use them while they are doing the negotiations. What if they get caught? On the other hand, it could easily also be continuing to be false flagged by the Iranian regime to then say, well, we can't continue these negotiations because the Israelis keep sabotaging, right? The fascinating part is not much has actually been said by the regime. A few of the explosions they've said, one or two of them they said it's the Jews. Most of them they've said it's been an accident. My favorite was, I think I showed you guys the other day, the guy was standing doing a media interview with the Iranian TV. Behind him, the whole thing was basically on fire. And he was saying, everything's fine. It's like, okay, if you say so. We can see what's going. It's literally that meme with the dog with a cup of tea saying everything is fine. But all this is going on. By the way, ignore the actual translation. We messed up the date in terms of the date that he said was in Persian. So let me just show you. There might be a misunderstanding in terms of. Let me just show you on this. There we go. Hang on. Where is it? There we go. This is what happens when you do English translation. It says 19th of May 2015. So this is actually, it mistranslated the whole thing. It said the Iranian calendar, not even like the Western one, the Gregorian one, and actually wasn't the right. So yeah, it's just mistranslation. Ignore that. But let's quickly get some reaction from you lovely people. Super chat from Brenda, thank you very much, saying how is your father? Praying for him, your family, and Danielle. He's better. I did speak to him earlier after his operation. He can't speak because the operation was here. I will keep you guys posted. Aaron says Stephen Miller confirms that President Trump is considering suspending the Red Habeas corpus to deport millions of illegals. This is to bypass the democratic judges. Thank you for that. Now, someone said not 1915. No, actually the date in Iran. Let me actually let me check the actual date. What is the date? Iran calendar. It's a. I should really know this, but I really don't. What is the date? Can someone tell me what the date is in Iran? It is currently 1404. The year, is it? Yeah, I think it is. I really should know this, right? The year is 1404. It's the 19th of Ordi Behesht, which is the second. Yeah, it's the second month. Yeah, so the 19th of Ordi Behesht, which is the second month of the year, because obviously the first month was March. Well, yeah, 20th of March. 20th of March to 20th of April, that's the first month. 20th of April to 20th of May is the second month. Yeah, Iran calendar 2015. There's 20, what was it again? 1404, yeah. God knows how the translation messed it up. 1404 years of Islamic BS in Iran. No. This is not the Islamic calendar. Hang on, what is the actual year now? Because you got the Arabic one. I'm getting confused about the whole thing. What is the date in Iran? All right. That's not helping me. It is 1404. That's the Iranian calendar. There we go. I don't know what the Arabic one is. You can't. If someone is watching from the Arab world, let me know what the calendar is in the Arab. But that's not. It's not 1404 years of the Islamic BS in Iran. The Islamic occupiers came in power 1979, and this calendar has been going on for a long time. In fact, the actual date of the calendar is much older, but they brought it down The Shah of Iran brought it down because it technically was like 2,500 something. They brought it down, and I don't know the reason. There was a reason for that. I can't remember. Anyway. Fafo says, we won't last another 8 years. We're on the eve of destruction. Well, speaking of destruction, we will also have to come back shortly to talk about what's going on in South Asia, because the Pakistanis are once again effing around with India, and obviously soon they will find out. Oh yeah, to be fair, the Islamic conquest was also close. I think it was like about 1400 years ago, but we haven't had the same Islamic occupation. Okay, yeah, there we go. Periods knows 2,584. That's the actual date of the calendar, which was being changed. Your channel is a breeding ground for dumb racists. I feel absolutely honored. I have so much influence. Ladies and gentlemen, who wants to be brainwashed to become a dumb racist? Continue watching 2CTV. What is an absolute crazy. So what this basically means is I disagree with your views, so I'm just going to call you dumb racists. It's fascinating considering this is a global news channel, and we literally have people right now watching this from Britain, America, Thailand, Iran, Israel, South Africa, from Japan. So I'm guessing everybody's racist at the same time. Oh no. What is this? British news. It's about America and Iran, which is not British. Yeah, this is not British news. This is 2CTV. We're not the BBC. This is a global news channel, not British news. What is happening with people tonight? Is it because it's Friday? Is everyone losing their mind? Fat Cat said, send the knights who say, no, I made to say no. Thanks for that. Graham says, it was 1990, he was using Nokia for the video. I'm absolutely fascinated because we actually did use, it was last minute when we translated the video for you guys, that video I showed you. We used AI to do the translation. You would think as a Persian speaking person I could just do it myself, but it was easier to just get AI, which got the date wrong. Mustard says, I heard Pakistan shot down 20 F-35s. Must be legit. If Pakistan says it, I'm sure it's true. Because those guys are clearly not bad at maths. Derek says, watching from Ireland, Maya. So clearly another dumb racist from Ireland, right? Although depending on what sort of Irish you are. No, the Irish are great. John says, greetings from Canada. See, another racist from Canada. Let me know where else you guys watching from, by the way. Phil says, greetings from Minnesota in the USA. Let me see where else we have. Okay, all the dumb racists, let me know in the live chat where you're from. All the dumb racists. Especially if you're watching from a non-European continent. Non-European continent. Yeah, basically any continent that's not Europe. Ah, Gene says, love your fellow racists, love your reporting, love your laughing at the haters. They are funny. Yeah. I missed a couple of super chats while we wait for the location of the dumb racists. Graham says, free the dumb racists. I agree. We got Las Vegas, Nevada, of course. Thank you for that. And we got Angie saying Sweden. It's so... Sweden. That's my fault because of the size of the box. We got Australia. There we go. We got a lot of US. Pennsylvania again. Seattle. We found the one conservative in Seattle. I hope. They get a couple of more people from Sweden as well. See, we got a lot from... Leo from Sweden. What's happening in Sweden? Are you all like suddenly becoming right-wing or... Brisbane, Australia. Even California is becoming red. That's great. Great to see. Roy. Yeah, but I do know we have a lot of viewers from North Carolina. More Canada. Florida. I saw Florida went away. Real global news from Yorkshire. Let's not forget about Yorkshire. Oh, wait. There we go. Greetings from Portugal. All the dumb racists from all over the world. Netherlands. Where are the... did someone say Wales? There was a Wales somewhere. I missed them. Yeah, it's Gene. Right, so it seems like the whole conversation is taking a whole different turn now. Israel, of course. Israel does love me, I know that. I want to see if... Did you hear Balochistan is now free from Pakistan? Well, they're trying. Still not there yet. They're trying their best, but it really depends on how things go over the next few months. Iranian living in Istanbul. There's a lot of Iranians in Istanbul because it's just right next door when they want to cross the border from Iran. Yeah, we got all the other usual. A lot of Yanks, all the lovely Yanks. New Zealand, that's good to know. Anyway, so while we are here, there is a point to be made about the upcoming fourth round of the negotiations, which is this weekend, which the Iranian regime have refused to meet directly with the Americans. And one main point about this, and I did post it on X as well, I said, well, there's no point in actually traveling to different countries when you are not going to meet it. Just do it over a video call, because you're going to be talking with the mediators. I think this is simply, at this point, to not just buy time, but for the Iranian regime, the negotiators, to go back to the supreme leader to give them the message that we're working really hard. And so that the supreme leader could use it in his speeches and all these rants that he does to rile up the crowd. It's basically to keep their own militants inside Iran on standby. And they want the Americans to come across as basically the wrong side and the evil side. They're saying that they're not doing it for us, they're not doing it for the international media. The messaging from the Iranian regime is to their own supporters. You know, a few million people in Iran, not that many, by the way. And the point of it is, they know that destruction is coming. They need them to be on standby. They need them to be passionately crazy. And in case things kick off with Israel, or even the US directly. You always bring out the truth, unlike the mainstream media. Malawi, Awe, thank you very much. There is a... Oh yeah, I missed a couple of super chats, sorry guys. Another one from Israel saying, doesn't it bother you that Britain's poor ruling is responsible for Israel, Arabs, and Pakistan, India situation? Just saying, love from Israel. Yeah, it's fascinating how when the British Empire was running most of the world, until the late 19th century, beginning of 20th century, from the perspective of the empire, it was stable. From the perspective, not from the perspective of some of the people in the colonies. But the British Empire was not very good at ending things. They never exited anywhere. So the plan for Pakistan, it sounded good on paper. A lot of people still say, if you had just kept India as India, well, there would have been a civil war, there would have been some sort of division. But I guess that would have been more natural. A civil war in India, post-British Empire, let them deal with it. And of course, then both sides have to deal with some sort of border. The Brits thought that it would be easier to just draw it on the map, which was random. The Israel situation, that was a complete betrayal. Because it was, in fact, people in charge of Britain who were causing trouble for the Israelis. When the Jews, most of them were returning to the land, it was the British Empire that was causing the trouble. And that's why the Israelis had to push out the Brits. The same mistake that the Brits made in Iran. Now, at the time, the establishment didn't really have a clue that running that part of the world is not as easy as, most of Africa, or even including India. The actual Middle East, it's way too complicated for any sort of Western power to be able to actually run and everybody just listen to them. They made the same mistake in Iran when they went with the BP to obviously take the oil. That backfired massively. They had to leave. And same thing when it came to Israel. Keith says, if Pakistan or India uses nuclear, we are in trouble. Well, everybody will be in trouble. Though, again, it's still highly unlikely, obviously, because these guys have had rows. But this one is serious. The conflict is definitely serious. Having said that, one of the reasons that everybody should be worried in case some crazy person in Islamabad, in Pakistan, does something, is not really just about the impact of any sort of nuclear usage in that region, there will be consequences. Now, not to spread more doom and gloom and project fear, but logically speaking, considering that the Chinese Communist Party are backing Pakistan, Turkey is backing Pakistan, and while Russia is trying to stay out of it, because, well, they have the relationship with India as well. If one side uses it, the other side will use it. The Chinese Communist Party will have to do something crazy. Everybody will get involved. And then it will be a domino effect. It's not just, it's just a random war in a part of the world where nothing to do with it. It definitely has something to do with us. Because these are global issues. Even though the actual issue has nothing to do with a random person living in America or Canada, the effects will be there. That's Maya, stupid. Autocorrect. What? You misspelled my name and then you said autocorrect. Going back to the super chats from the fellow dumb racists. We have another one from Israel saying, "Hi, I am a dumb racist from Israel." Well, welcome to the clan. All right, Mustard also says that if Pakistan or India use nuclear, we are in an okay place. Unironically, nobody wants to be the first. Since the Second World War, they will get all their hate. But it's not really about the hate, it's about the actual backlash, the domino effect around the world. Tusi thinks Iran wasn't invaded by the Islamists in 1404, years ago. That's literally when the calendar began. Iran was in fact, Persia was in fact invaded by Muhammad's gang. It was not Islamists, it was all the Muslims. Not just a small group of like Islamist radicals. It was the Islamic Empire. They invaded Iran. Mostly because when the king of Persia received a letter, well, that's especially according to the Islamic propaganda. We sent a letter to the king of Persia and he ripped it apart, and then he was so insulting to us and we had to go and rape everybody. Yeah, that's basically how the invasion of Persia happened. The problem with the establishment at the time of the Persian Empire was, I don't think you could even call it the Persian Empire at that time, because it was already falling apart. They were very, very complacent. Most of Persia was, from the beginning, was very, very multicultural, very multi-ethnic, multi-religious, everything else, multi-faith. It was working while you had the right kings in power, including Cyrus, even Darius the First. But things started going down, especially after Xerxes. But then it was way after that. It was like 1,000 years after that, less than that, when the Muslim Empire invaded. What they failed to do, they failed to turn Persia into yet another Arab country. They tried their best to even enforce the Arabic language using Quran. You had a number of poets and thinkers in Persia that worked really hard to preserve the Persian language. Even though the alphabet basically went with the Arabic alphabet, but the Persians kept their language. A lot of the words changed over time, but they kept their culture, and over time the Persians remained Persians. They never became Arabic until the dynasty before the Pahlavi, the Pahlavi dynasty, which was the 20th century, the Shah of Iran, all that. Before that you have Qajar, which were essentially Azeri, Turkish Iranians. They were very, very Islamic. They weren't necessarily enforcing it like the Taliban, but culturally they changed Persia. When the Shah's dad, the first Pahlavi, Reza Pahlavi, came into power at the beginning of the 20th century, like Ataturk, he modernized the whole thing. He basically said, okay, stop this Muslim nonsense, just get rid of it. He said women stop wearing headscarves and everything else. All that progress by his son continued, modernized Iran. Then the whole thing backfired and the Islamic occupiers took control. And since 1979, we had the actual Islamic occupation. It's only been going on since 1979. The Muslim Empire, when they invaded Iran all those years ago, they wanted to have the influence that the Islamic regime have now. They couldn't really. because over time the Persians went back to being Persian. Anyway, I hope that was educational. Teresa from Canada says, it's crazy how they call the Pope Holy Father and yet call God just Father. The Pope is a bozo. It is a symbolic stuff. It's not like Catholics like treat the Pope like God. That's not the same thing. Bomber very hot and knocks over heaps of stuff. There's a couple of non-super chats I missed I wanted to react to, but I don't know where it's gone. Where's that guy gone? The guy who was angry at me. If I could find him, it would be good to have a debate. Yeah, we have some updates again. Adam says, gunshots were heard over the India-administered Kashmir, which is today, where the Indian military is saying that they were shooting down drones in the worst fighting with Pakistan in nearly 3 decades. That's just like a summary of what we've been reporting over the last few days. Patrick says, new to the channel, pretty impressed, from Houston, Texas. Well, great. Thank you. Another Texan joining us. Roya says she's watching from Iran, writing in Persian. Brad says, I think Jews were also in Persia. Well, they were until 1979. Then they all ran away. Although a lot of them moved towards the end of the 1940s. When Israel returned, a lot of the Iranian Jews moved to Israel. But the Iranian Jews, who were mostly just Iranian than just being Jewish, they stayed because they were Iranians. And then obviously when the 79 coup happened, they all ran away. Krishna says, Pakistan didn't choose their airways, send passenger flights to Indian borders to play the victim card in front of the world and to escalate. Oh, it's going to be an interesting evening. It's weird that the Pakistan-India thing erupts once Trump decides India is a key player in the new trade route that bypasses China. Praying for your dad. Yeah, well, let's not forget who's behind Pakistan. There must be yeah, okay. That's what we're going to do, because we are getting more information about what's happening right now between India and Pakistan. So over the next half an hour or so, we're going to come back with some breaking news from the region. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In the meantime, I'm going to be going on the chat forum on 2CTV Plus, because some of our members are now currently there. If you don't know where to go on 2c.tv, become a member of 2CTV Plus. You get access to the chat forum. I'm going to be there. We do a video call and everything else. Basically, it's this, but more personal. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.